Saul Goodman is a fictional character in the TV series Breaking Bad and its spin-off, Better Call Saul. He is a criminal defense lawyer who has a colourful past and is known for his humour. Vincent van Gogh, on the other hand, was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who lived in the late 19th century. He is known for his emotionally charged paintings, including Starry Night and the Sunflowers. At first glance, Saul Goodman and Vincent van Gogh may seem like two very different people. One, a lawyer, and the other is a painter. One, fictional, the other, real. One lived in modern times, and the other in the 19th century. However, despite these differences, there are some striking similarities between these two characters that make a comparison between them possible. Both characters were seen as tragedies in their own right, with their lives marked by hardships that they could not escape. By examining the similarities and differences between Saul Goodman and Van Gogh, we can gain a deeper understanding of how characters are processed by viewers, and how literary and artistic works can reflect the struggles and complexities of human existence. To achieve this understanding, we're going to analyse the tragic lives of both of these characters. But before we do that, if you could subscribe, that'll help us out a lot. We're trying to make it to 3k, so help us out. Also, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Van Gogh or Van Gogh. I've heard it pronounced both ways in my life, so I've got no idea. Right, let's crack on. Saul Goodman, whose real name is James Morgan McGill, had a difficult life, filled with illegal activities. Jimmy was always interested in taking shortcuts and getting rich quick, which led him to a career as a scam artist. He eventually moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he reinvented himself as a criminal defense lawyer, but still relied on his scamming skills to get ahead. As he became more involved in Albuquerque's criminal underworld, Jimmy slowly began to lose his moral compass and started to represent some of the city's most dangerous criminals. Despite his questionable morals, he was highly competent and able to find loopholes in the law to protect his clients. Vincent van Gogh was a troubled individual who struggled with mental illness and financial hardship throughout his life. Despite his talent as a painter, he struggled to gain recognition for his work, and was often financially dependent on his brother, Theo. His mental health issues were debilitating, eventually leading to his suicide at the age of 37. Despite the differences between these two people, both Saul Goodman and Vincent van Gogh experienced tragic lives. Both characters struggled with personal problems that impacted both their lives and their work. Saul's criminal past and need to be successful led him to some incredibly dark places, while Vincent's mental health issues impacted his ability to gain recognition for his work. Both characters were also victims of circumstance, with their lives shaped by factors beyond their control. Saul was the product of greed, and Vincent's talent as a painter was unrecognised. Despite their efforts to overcome these obstacles, both characters seemed destined to face tragic ends. Both Saul and Vincent had brothers who played significant roles in their lives. Saul's brother, Chuck, was an accomplished lawyer and a key figure in his life. However, Chuck's disapproval of Saul's criminal activities put a strain on their relationship, ultimately leading to their estrangement. Similarly, Vincent van Gogh's brother Theo was an important figure in his life, both personally and professionally. Theo supported Vincent financially throughout his career, allowing him to focus on his art without having to worry about making ends meet. Theo also played a significant role in promoting Vincent's art, and it was him who eventually led to his success after his death. Despite their different professions and circumstances, both Saul and Vincent relied on their brothers for support and guidance. However, in the end, their relationships with their brothers had different outcomes. Van Gogh's brother Theo supported him financially. In contrast, Saul's relationship with his brother Chuck was strained. Chuck, a successful lawyer and partner at HHM, never fully believed in Saul's abilities as a lawyer, viewing him as a con artist and not a legitimate member of the legal profession. When Saul discovered that Chuck had used Howard to prevent him from becoming an attorney at HHM, he confronted Chuck, revealing the underlying resentment and lack of support in their relationship. Saul Goodman's criminal past continued to haunt him throughout his life. Despite his efforts to leave it behind, he found himself pulled back into the criminal world. His struggles also impacted his ability to move on from his past, with his activities as a lawyer often leading him into morally questionable situations. Meanwhile, Van Gogh's mental health issues were a constant struggle throughout his life. He suffered from severe depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses, which impacted his ability to live a normal life and create art. His financial struggles also impacted it, with his dependence on his brother Theo leading to even more worry. While the problems of Saul Goodman and Van Gogh may have been a little different, they were both issues that they couldn't escape. Saul's criminal past continued to follow him. Vincent's mental health continued to follow him. Both characters struggled to find a way out of their respective problems, with their efforts often leading to even further complications. The comparison between these two characters highlights the universal nature of struggles and the impact they can have on a person's life. The mimetic and synthetic views of characters are two theories of character development in literature. The mimetic view focuses on the character's resemblance to real-life individuals and their ability to evoke empathy from the reader. The synthetic view, on the other hand, views a character as a construction of the author, serving a specific purpose within the narrative. In the synthetic view, the character of Saul Goodman serves a specific purpose within the narrative of Breaking Bad. His role as a criminal lawyer and his connection to the drug trade serve to advance the plot and create tension within the story. However, the mimetic view can also be applied to him in terms of Better Call Saul. You see, in the spin-off, his character is given more freedom to explore his own struggles and conflicts, creating a more complex character. This shift in the character's representation allows viewers to connect with him more on a personal level, emphasizing his humanity and making him more relatable as a character. This is where we see Vincent van Gogh in the mimetic interpretation of Saul. By considering the construction and purpose of characters, we can gain deeper insights into their motivations, helping to create a more meaningful connection between the character and the audience. This can help to provide a deeper understanding of the characters and their impact on the story. I wanted to mention this because it proves that it is important for us to see qualities of Van Gogh, a real person, in Jimmy, as relating him with someone real encourages us to invest more in the character. The more real he feels, the greater effect the show will have on us. Cognitive theory of literary character emphasizes how readers construct mental models of characters based on their interactions with the material. These mental modes are constantly updated and revised as the viewer learns more about a character, leading to a more complex understanding of the character itself. Applying the cognitive theory of literary character to Saul Goodman, we can see how the mental model of the character develops over time. For example, in Breaking Bad, the audience's initial mental model of Saul Goodman may be that he's a slimy lawyer who is only interested in money. However, as the series progresses, the audience is given glimpses into his backstory, revealing a more complex and sympathetic character. This duality reminds me of Van Gogh, who was mostly known for his breathtaking artwork. Many have marvelled at his iconic Starry Night or Sunflowers. I remember spending countless hours gazing at a copy of his Sunflowers, hanging on my nan's wall, trying to understand why I loved it so much. However, as I grew older, I learned more about the artist behind the masterpiece. I discovered that Van Gogh was not only exceptionally talented, but also tormented by mental health and financial struggles. Though he was not a fictional character, The cognitive theory of literary character could apply to him as a public figure. My mental model of him became more nuanced as I learnt more about him, evoking empathy and understanding. Thank you for bearing with me while I ran through those theories. By considering the different theoretical frameworks for understanding literary characters, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of Jimmy. These theories provide us with the tools for understanding the ways in which characters are constructed, and how our own perceptions of these characters can change over time. The comparison between Saul Goodman and Vincent van Gogh sheds light on the similarities between two people who, at a distance, seem to be two very different people. Both men had tragic lives and problems they couldn't escape. Our mental model of Saul changed over the years, just as it did when we first learned the backstory of the man behind Starry Night. So you may be wondering, if these characters are so similar, why did they have different outcomes? Van Gogh killed himself, believing he was a failure and his art never made an impression on anyone, while Jimmy ended up admitting to his wrongdoings and willingly accepting punishment in order to grow as a person and move on with his life, finally escaping the turmoil he'd been trapped in for decades. Well, they both have one key difference. Kim. Kim was a stabilizing force in Jimmy's life, helping him to eventually rid himself of the troubles he'd gotten himself into. Van Gogh, on the other hand, didn't have a Kim, unless you count Amy from that episode of Doctor Who. This difference is the reason why Saul Goodman's story ended differently from Van Gogh's tragic demise. I hate to sound cliché, but in this story of tragedy, love was key. And, feet pics, if you're gonna believe OK Buddy chicanery. In the end, the similarities between Saul Goodman and Van Gogh highlight the fragility of the human condition and the importance of having a support system. They remind us that people, both fictional and real, are complex and nuanced, and that it's our willingness to understand and empathize with them that makes their stories all the more impactful.